I'm here because I wanted to be here right now in this room, in the city that I live in. I've never, seen a moment where somebody said, "Hey, we're gonna go watch the debate," and everybody in my age bracket is excited.
Right.
And I'm like, damn, this the new club. I'm like, let's go. And so to come in and witness this firsthand, I do notice that y'all get a little high key, a little hostile with the energy. And I wish y'all could kind of just keep it a little, well, it's nothing wrong, but it makes it hard to communicate.
No, we'll get through it.
Yeah, we will.
This is what family do. Let me speak to this.
True indeed.
Let me speak to this. If people can argue about who's the best rapper, if people can argue about who peed on who, if people can argue about who dated who.
And the only way for that to happen is I have to actively be present.
Right.
And here I am.
That's right. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, straight up.
And also, even if you wasn't activated. See, my job being the hood was to go get people who's not activated.
Talk to me.
So nobody, since we got Christian folk, if you're not a Christian, then don't worry about it. But it's about walking among the people that are not activated. Hey. So when I was in the streets yesterday in Atlanta, I'm talking to the brothers literally homeless who are under the bridge. We got to get them in the fold. Anybody can talk to their own choir, but who can go bring people to go follow them up the hill? Yeah. So we want to be clear that this space is for those who are activated and non-activated. Because that's Trump's, beyond, here's where I'll give Trump campaign some credit. They follow the, what do they call it, the lost man or the unspoken man, what do they call it on your side? The forgotten man. Where they literally go and say, let me strategically peel off 1-2%. Let me go and get I Swear Vizzo in Detroit to peel off 1 or 2%. And you have people online saying, oh, why they got I Swear? He got clout in Detroit. Yeah. So while you ignoring that rapper in Detroit and saying, oh, he don't know what he's talking about, that 1 and 2%, the Trump campaign has been very strategic, whether y'all like it or not. They've been very strategic talking to those brothers that are not getting talked to. Yeah. So we want to be clear that the non-activated people are important, and we want them here too, and we're glad to have them.
I was watching the show while I was waiting, and y'all all had some good points. I do feel like whoever the host is too much. It almost feels like she should just be on the show on her own. I don't see no reason why she have any guests, period. But I did want to, before I even touch on what she was talking about, it's about people that's non-activated and activated. I did want to speak on the abortion thing. First of all, the decisions for abortion or not to should, I would assume that they are based on your principles and morals. Whatever religious background or traditional background you come from. Like, what does that say? And do you walk by that? And then you can feel convicted by your decision or not. Me personally, if I'm having sex and I don't even want the child, and she says she wants the child, then we just have the child. That's the consequences that's the risk you take as a man when you're going out here having a kid. And if you're a woman and you having sex and you end up pregnant, you should have the child. I can only think of maybe one. There could be many, but I can only think of one reason why it would be righteous or justified for a woman to get an abortion, and that is to bring in the seed of someone who invaded her or violated her. I don't want to say the other word, but if I wouldn't recommend, and I think a woman is totally justified to prevent the offspring of someone with evil intent in their heart that just violated this woman and put his seed in her. So I think everybody across the board is good on that. But this argument about what if I don't want it or something like, I think one of the brothers said, oh, what if I don't want the kid and I just want to have sex? I mean, that's the risk you take. You know what I'm saying? You threw that decision out of the door when you went in there and you took the risk. And I think if a baby is, or if a child if conceived in that position, you should just take responsibility. So the non-activated and activated people, just so before I say anything stupid or uneducated, can somebody tell me what that actually means? Because that's the first time I ever heard of that. Okay, I'll just guess.
Well, I guess I was thinking when he said it, meaning that he was actually getting involved with what's going on as far as the pushing policies or being behind something, standing for something. That's how I took it.
So let me get an understand. So the people who are non-activated, does it make sense to? I mean, is it even useful to have a conversation with them if they don't know anything about policies or even aware of them or even care about them?
What's the question again?
If you could dumb down the conversation to a point, well, not dumb down, but turn the conversation to layman's terms where they could possibly understand how it affects them, then maybe. But if you're gonna have a high level policy conversation, yeah, it's pointless to go into detail about something that they may not understand or care about.
So if I rephrase my talking points to where they can understand it, and it'll be useful. But that's granted, I'm coming from an unbiased position myself. So like if I'm going to a person that's unactivated and saying, hey, look, we're gonna vote for this politician because they're gonna continue to keep government assistance, food stamp, welfare, and all that stuff in here. And they might look at that as a positive thing. But if I'm a person that says, hey, we're gonna vote for the politician that's gonna take away that, so it could spark some energy inside us to go and work and do the work ourselves, build wealth for ourselves, and get out of this stagnant place of being content with having these incentives that's just keeping us held in one place in the economic a socioeconomic ladder or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Because that's me personally, that's the position I would come from. Because I wholeheartedly believe that some of the policies that certain politicians come out with does indeed keep you content with the situation you're in. And if you in shit and they're gonna take care of you while you in shit, you probably gonna stay in shit. But I'll yield and let somebody else go.
All right. Anybody else want to speak?
My computer had went out. What was the question that Darwin was answering? I want to. Do you remember the question?
Well, I think I was just saying, how is it useful to talk to somebody who don't even care? You're not even aware of policies or whatever that these politicians are pushing whenever they get elected into office.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So it's almost like I think Sweeney stated last show when Kamala asked Megan Thee Stallion to come and dance. I don't know her background. I don't know if she's aware of policies and stuff. Maybe she is. I'm not going to attack her character because I don't know. She might be indeed know what the policies is, and she might back Kamala Harris. But are y'all saying somebody like her is not activated because of her lane in life? Or are y'all just talking about the people that are in poverty that don't even have access to even be educated on policy? Because I'm just trying to create some type of understanding of what group is considered activated and what group of people is considered non-activated.
So,
or is it this woke and unwoke thing or some shit? Another
No.
way of saying woke.
In the part of the interview I seen, she was discussing how she leads initiatives for voter drives. So going to get unregistered people registered to vote, and getting people to volunteer and campaign, do door knockers and all that. So she was pretty much touting her ability to mobilize and organize, because she was having a bit of a pissing contest with the other young lady, Michaela. It wasn't even a bit. It was actually real bad. So we seeing pieces of it. It devolved real bad. It was embarrassing, really. Did that answer the question?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I get what you were saying, but I'm just the activated people and non-activated still kind of blurry to me.
So the people who are undecided, not gonna vote, who are not leaning in one direction, who don't care who the issue may affect, but aren't understanding that it affects them, all of those would be considered unactivated people.
How can you
activated meaning they count on their vote?
It's not like they're wearing like a. Look, yeah, that's what I'm saying. How do you identify that group? Like, it's not like they're wearing logos or some type of insignia. That, hey, look, I'm part of the unactivated crowd.
No, so political campaigns, they measure these things with metrics where they go door to door and they knock on people's doors and ask, are you registered to vote? Who you're voting for? And they tally those things up.
Okay, I get it. So you actually manually got to go figure out who this group is.
Yeah,
Damn, that's a lot of work. But okay.
yeah, they do this. They do it. You never had nobody knocking on your doors to push a candidate or to get somebody on the ballot or something on the ballot. They do it all the time in Chicago.
Bro, my nephew does that. My nephew, one of my nephews does that. He's in Wisconsin somewhere now doing it.
You never went to a gas station and they had one of them sheets where you sign up, they record your information so they can get somebody added. That's a form of activating people.
Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Am I echoing? Am I echoing?
Oh, that's M. White.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, but are you allowed to go to somebody's door and say, hey, you need to vote for such and such because if you don't, the cost of this house, the taxes are going to increase. Is that even legal to do?
It's canvassing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's very particular on exactly what you can say when you go, but I know canvassing is super common. You know what I mean? Like I said, my nephew's doing it. He does it often. That's all he do. You know what I mean? And he's canvassing right now for some Republican candidate up in Wisconsin. On the primaries, he'll go whatever their party is working. He knows how to get himself activated, so to speak.
Are there any like laws or restrictions on the style of canvassing?
That's something I have to ask him. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if there's anything you can't say, you know, when you go door to door and you go talk to these people.
Because I think I've seen a form of canvassing, not as a door-to-door presence, but more like an online presence. I think a post came in my algorithm saying that 70 or 80% of people was going to be out of jobs if somebody else, a particular person, is elected. Is that a form of canvassing?
So it's propaganda media. I guess you could say it's canvassing because they have a funnel that they sending this stuff out to. Hopefully because at the end of it was the donation requested, right? At the end of the ad to support the candidate. So I mean, you could consider that canvassing, but
All right. So, you know, one thing I wanted to respond when DJ So Lovely was going, like you mentioned that why aren't we holding men accountable? That's all the world is based around, is holding men accountable. We are taught treat women this way. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to be a certain way, even in order to get in a position to possibly get a woman pregnant, right? You are taught these things. And you can't sit here and say men are the leaders. We're not talking about all men. All men aren't leaders. And that them two 16-year-olds having premarital sex, which one the leader between them? So you need to teach the party that can have the most penalties bestowed upon them how to protect themselves, right? Because you know we were all that age at one point in time doing what we do, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? And that puts you in a position to where something can potentially happen. So you need to take the necessary precautions. Boys only have one real scenario, two scenarios in prevention. Don't do it or a condom. That's pretty much it when you young. That's it. Ain't no 16, 17, 18-year-olds getting vasectomies. But we know those the main ones that's trying to be sexually active because that's just nature. That's how it is. So what we need to do is just make sure if we want this to be prevented, we go about it the right way. We tell them that's why you always have mothers be telling their daughters by the time they 15, 16, even if they're not sexually active, they start getting them on some kind of regimen a lot of times. And that's probably part of the problem too, why we so irresponsible when it does come to sex. Because it's all kind of scenarios. There's no shame in it. If something happens and you do end up pregnant, you have so many different scenarios. Nobody shames them anymore. Nobody's expecting you to, what was it, shotgun weddings? Those don't even exist no more. People will laugh at you if you thought you was going to make them get married because they got pregnant. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to really be real about it. We know good and well, we do teach boys, hey, you know you can't treat that girl like that. You also teach your girls to protect themselves. Why? Because in multiple scenarios, you're more vulnerable, right? Women are targeted. You're more vulnerable. So let's say, for instance, we would say, oh, yeah, don't wear that because if someone wants to take advantage of you, what you going to do? You know what I'm saying? You want to put yourself in a position to where you don't have to worry about that. I can't decide on what crazy might see my daughter walking down the street. All I can do is tell her what to do to protect herself from those crazies that we know are out there. If people weren't crazy, we wouldn't need police. We wouldn't need, you know what I'm saying, profilers and what have you. We wouldn't have serial killers and all this other mess. But you can't control that. But what we can do is teach each other how to protect themselves from potential danger, because we know man is dangerous. That's it.
All right, go ahead, swing into my play this clip, then we'll get to Darryl.
So I did want to try to answer DJ's question as logically as possible. So I start with this. The reason why this is solely, and I appreciate the women for solely having this conversation because they were the ones that said this. The reason why this is solely a conversation about women's accountability, because it all started from the abortion argument. So we're literally talking about women who don't want to have children. That's the reason why they're going to go get the abortions. So logically speaking, if you don't want to have children, there are choices that you're supposed to make to ensure that you don't have children. I've often said people who are adamant on not wanting to have kids don't have kids. Every person I've ever met that said, I don't want a child, and they meant it, they don't have kids. So the reason why this topic is so women focused is because these are women who are saying they don't want children, but then they want to put the responsibility on the men for why they got pregnant. It's not their responsibility because you had a lot of options between you not having sex and you having a baby that you could have avoided having a child. So that's the reason why the conversation is solely on the responsibility of the women, because we're talking about women who don't want to have children but keep having children.